Every person who has ever achieved greatness, transformed their life, or built something remarkable has done so through consistent action, not wishful thinking. Desire is important. It's the starting point. But desire alone is not enough. The world is filled with people who wanted to succeed but never did, not because they lacked intelligence or talent, but because they never took the action required to bridge the gap between what they wanted and what they got. To live a successful life, you must understand one fundamental truth. Success responds only to action, not dreams, not intentions, not inspiration, but concrete, consistent effort. Far too many people live in the realm of thoughts. They say, "I want to be successful," or "one day I'll start that business," or "I'll get in shape when I have time," but one day never comes. Time keeps moving, and their desires remain nothing more than internal whispers. They confuse thinking with doing, but thinking is passive, it's easy, it feels good. Action, on the other hand, is uncomfortable, it requires sacrifice, it demands energy, and because of that, many avoid it. Those who succeed don't avoid action. They embrace it, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient. They train themselves to move forward when others hesitate. They don't rely on perfect conditions or the right mood. They simply act. They understand that every time they push forward, no matter how small the step, they are building momentum, and momentum, once gained, becomes a powerful force that makes continued action easier and more natural over time. Action is the bridge between your current life and the life you want to live. You can visualize your future, map out a perfect plan, and make endless promises to yourself. But without action, those plans remain theoretical. They live in your mind, not in your reality. Your reality changes the moment you begin to do. When you take that first step, you tell the world, and more importantly, you tell yourself, that you are serious. And seriousness leads to progress, but not just any action will do. Random, scattered effort won't build lasting success. What matters is consistent action, the kind of disciplined, repeated effort that compounds over time. It's not about working furiously for a few days and then collapsing. It's about showing up day after day, regardless of obstacles, regardless of emotion, and doing what needs to be done. This is the kind of force you must develop within yourself. Not physical force, but the force of will, the internal command that says, "Move," even when everything inside you wants to stop. This is where true growth happens, in the moments when you push through fatigue. When you ignore the excuses, when you reject the easy way and take the right way instead, you're not just getting things done, you're training yourself, you're building discipline, strengthening your resolve, and forming habits that will carry you forward long after motivation fades. And make no mistake, motivation will fade. But if you've trained yourself to act, you'll keep moving, and that is where separation begins. That's where winners emerge. Your future does not belong to those who talk. It belongs to those who act, and not just once, not just when it's convenient, but consistently, every day, with focus and purpose. If you want something, stop waiting, stop thinking, stop over-planning. Start doing. Success is not an accident. It is earned, one deliberate, daily action at a time. Consistency is not a gift reserved for the lucky or the naturally disciplined. It is not some special talent you're born with. Consistency is a choice, one that must be made every single day, often multiple times a day. It's the decision to act when no one's watching, to show up even when it's hard, and to keep moving forward even when progress feels slow or invisible. This choice doesn't rely on external circumstances. It doesn't wait for perfect timing or ideal motivation. It is born from within, from a mindset that values long-term growth over short-term comfort. Many people believe they have to feel ready in order to act. They think they need motivation to be consistent, but this mindset leads to stagnation. Motivation is fleeting. Some days you wake up full of energy, inspired to push forward. Other days you feel tired, distracted, or doubtful. If you only act on the good days, you'll never build anything lasting. True consistency comes when you act regardless of how you feel. You choose discipline over emotion. You choose action over delay, and with every choice you strengthen your ability to stay consistent, even in the face of difficulty. Building consistency begins with creating structure. When you rely on willpower alone, you set yourself up for failure. Willpower fades under stress, pressure, or fatigue, but structure holds. That's why routines and systems matter. When you develop a routine, you remove the decision-making process. You no longer ask, should I do this today? You just do it. You train your mind and body to move automatically, making consistency the default rather than the exception. That structure starts small. One task repeated daily becomes a habit. One habit sustained over time becomes a system. And once you have a system, you no longer depend on feeling inspired. You simply follow the process. This is the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs rely on inspiration. Professionals rely on structure. And you become a professional in your own life when you stop negotiating with yourself and start acting with intention every day. There's freedom in consistency. At first, it feels rigid. It may even feel boring. But over time, that consistency creates results, and results create confidence. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. That trust in yourself is what fuels growth. When you know that you will show up regardless of the obstacles, you become unstoppable. Your goals no longer feel out of reach because you're taking steps toward them every day. Most people underestimate the power of small actions done repeatedly. They want big change fast. They want visible success now, but real success comes slowly. It builds in the background through repeated effort, the small wins, the boring repetitions, the unnoticed steps. These are the foundation of everything great. And you only get those by choosing consistency over intensity. It's not about doing something huge once. It's about doing something meaningful every single day, no matter how small. You won't always feel like it. There will be days you want to quit, days when you question whether it's worth it, but that's exactly when consistency matters most. It's easy to act when things are going well. It's meaningful to act when everything feels like it's against you. That's when you prove to yourself that you are serious. That's when growth happens. So remember, consistency isn't something you find. It's something you choose. Choose it daily. Choose it especially when it's hard. Choose it until it becomes who you are, because when you act with consistency, you don't just chase success, you create it. Small actions, when done consistently, create massive results over time. This is a truth that many people overlook. In a world obsessed with quick wins and overnight success, it's easy to underestimate the power of doing simple things every single day. But if you look closely at anyone who has achieved anything significant, you'll find one common factor: they committed to small, repeated action. They didn't wait for one grand opportunity or a perfect moment. They focused on daily progress. They understood that greatness is not built in a day, it's built daily. The problem is that small actions don't feel powerful in the moment. Reading 10 pages of a book doesn't feel like it's changing your life. Making one cold call, doing one workout, or writing one paragraph seems too small to matter, and because it doesn't feel rewarding immediately, most people quit. They want fireworks, they want results now, but success doesn't work that way. Success is slow. It compounds quietly, invisibly, beneath the surface, until one day it erupts and people call it luck. Think of it like planting seeds. You don't see the fruit immediately. You water, you nurture, you give it time. Each drop of water may seem insignificant, but it's essential. If you stop too soon, the seed dies. But if you stay consistent, the roots grow deep and strong, and eventually the growth becomes visible. That's how small actions work. You don't always see the impact immediately, but that doesn't mean it's not working. The real magic lies in the compounding effect. When you read 10 pages every day, you read over 600 pages a year. That's more than 10 books. When you do 20 minutes of exercise daily, you build stamina, discipline, and long-term health. When you make one sales call a day, that's over 300 conversations a year, and each of these moments builds not just results, but identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wants to change and start seeing yourself as someone who does the work. That identity shift is crucial. When you act consistently, even in small ways, you build trust with yourself. You start to believe in your ability to follow through. You develop mental strength, focus, and resilience. These are not traits you're born with. They are earned through effort. Each day you stay committed, you build character. You become stronger, more determined, and more capable of handling bigger challenges. But to reach that point, you have to stop underestimating small actions. You have to stop thinking that if it doesn't give instant results, it's not worth doing. That mindset keeps you stuck. The truth is, massive change is the result of tiny steps taken repeatedly. Every single day you have a choice to do something small that pushes you forward, or to do nothing and stay where you are. If you keep choosing the small action, the results will come, not all at once, but inevitably. The key is patience. You have to play the long game. You have to be okay with delayed gratification. It may take weeks or months before you see the visible payoff, but every time you take that small action, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. You're building momentum, and eventually that momentum becomes unstoppable. So don't chase the dramatic. Don't wait for the perfect plan. Just start. Do something small today, then do it again tomorrow. Let those actions build. Let them multiply. That's how real transformation happens. Not with one giant leap, but with thousands of small, consistent steps. Discipline will take you where motivation can't. Motivation is a temporary feeling. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you wake up full of energy, excited to take on your goals. Other days you feel sluggish, distracted, or discouraged. If you rely only on motivation to take action, you'll be inconsistent. You'll show up when it's convenient and stay still when it's not. But those who achieve long-term success understand that real progress is built not on emotion, but on discipline. Discipline is the decision to act even when you don't feel like it. It's what separates those who want results from those who actually get them. Waiting for motivation is a form of procrastination. It feels productive because you're thinking about your goals, maybe even talking about them or planning them, but you're not doing anything to move forward. People often say, "I'll start when I feel ready," but readiness is a myth. You're never fully ready. You just have to begin. That's why discipline matters. Discipline tells you, do it anyway. It's the voice that keeps you going when everything else is telling you to stop. Discipline builds consistency, and consistency builds momentum. When you follow through on your actions, even the small ones, you reinforce your commitment. Each time you do what needs to be done, especially when you don't want to, you strengthen your willpower. It becomes easier to keep going the next time. This is how habits are formed. At first, the action feels hard. You have to force yourself, but with enough repetition, it becomes automatic. That's the power of discipline. It turns effort into instinct. You can't rely on how you feel in the moment. Your emotions are unreliable. They're influenced by things outside your control, weather, stress, sleep, even random thoughts. If you let your feelings dictate your actions, your results will always be unstable. You might have a productive day here and there, but you'll never build lasting success. Discipline cuts through that instability. It gives you something solid to stand on, something you can count on no matter what's happening around you. The truth is, success is not glamorous. It's not about huge wins or perfect days. It's about doing the boring, difficult, necessary things over and over. Waking up early, sticking to your schedule, saying no to distractions, pushing through resistance. These aren't exciting, but they work. And the people who understand that are the ones who win. They stop chasing highs and start focusing on execution. They know that discipline is the most powerful tool they have. Discipline also leads to freedom. At first, it might feel like the opposite. It feels like restriction, forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. But over time, it creates more control over your life. When you're disciplined, you don't need to scramble to meet deadlines or panic when things go wrong. You're prepared. You've built systems and habits that protect your time, energy, and focus. That's real freedom, the ability to move through life with intention and control. Eventually, something powerful happens. Discipline becomes identity. You stop saying, "I have to do this," and start saying, "This is just what I do." You no longer need to fight with yourself to take action. You simply act, and that's when you become unstoppable. When discipline becomes who you are, motivation becomes a bonus, not a requirement. So don't wait to feel like it. Don't chase motivation. Build discipline. Train yourself to act regardless of how you feel. Show up every day and do the work. Over time, those disciplined actions will add up to the life you want. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Every time you take action, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. That means consistent action doesn't just move you toward a goal. It reshapes your identity. Most people try to change their lives by setting goals and pushing themselves toward results, but they overlook something deeper. Lasting change happens from the inside out. It starts with how you see yourself. When you take action every day, especially when it's hard, you are sending a message to your subconscious mind. This is who I am now. Over time, that message sticks, and you stop trying to become the person you want to be. You start living as that person. Identity is not fixed. You're not born with a permanent personality, mindset, or level of discipline. Who you are is constantly being shaped by what you do. That's why action is so powerful. It doesn't just create results. It creates self-belief. When you repeatedly act with discipline, courage, or focus, you start seeing yourself as someone who is disciplined, courageous, and focused. You build confidence through repetition, and confidence becomes your foundation. Most people try to change their behavior without changing the way they see themselves. That's why the change doesn't last. They go to the gym a few times, but still think of themselves as lazy. They eat healthy for a week, but still believe they're undisciplined. Eventually, the old identity pulls them back. But when you focus on aligning your actions with the identity you want to build, everything shifts. You stop forcing yourself to act. You naturally act in alignment with who you believe you are. This is why consistency is so crucial. One action is not enough to shift identity. It must be repeated over time. You have to show up every day, not to prove something to others, but to prove something to yourself. That's how belief is built, not in a moment of hype, but in daily demonstrations of discipline. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you increase your self-respect. And when you respect yourself, you stop settling for less than you deserve. The real battle is internal. It's not about fighting the world, it's about overcoming the part of you that wants to stay comfortable, to stay the same. That voice will always be there, whispering excuses, looking for the easy way out. But every time you push through and take action anyway, you weaken that voice. You starve your doubts and feed your confidence. And as your self-image improves, your actions become easier. What used to require effort becomes automatic, because it now fits the person you've become. This feedback loop is what drives true transformation. Identity drives behavior, but behavior also shapes identity. When you take action with intention and consistency, you're creating a cycle of growth. You act, you believe, you act again, and each loop brings you closer to the life you want. That's how people become unstoppable, not through luck or natural talent, but by reinforcing a strong, successful identity through daily commitment. So if you want to change your life, don't just set goals. Build identity. Start acting like the person you want to become. Do it repeatedly. Do it when it's hard. Do it when it's boring. Because every small action you take is a vote for your future self. Over time, those votes add up, and one day, you'll realize you've become the person you once only imagined. It wasn't luck. It was consistency. It was belief, built one action at a time. The life you want isn't found in the future. It's built by what you do today. So many people live in a state of waiting. They wait for the perfect moment, the right mood, or a burst of motivation before they begin. They convince themselves that they'll start when conditions are better, when they feel more confident, when things slow down. But time doesn't wait. The future doesn't create itself. The life you're dreaming of is being shaped right now by the choices you make in the present moment. If you're not acting today, you're postponing your growth. You're delaying your results, and eventually you're risking the possibility of never starting at all. Every day is a window of opportunity. It may not seem significant, but it is. Because every day you wake up, you get a chance to take one step forward. One choice, one action, one moment of discipline can move you closer to the life you want. That's the secret to building something great, stacking small efforts over time. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing something meaningful today, then again tomorrow, and the next day after that. Consistent action in the present is how you construct the future you desire. The mistake many people make is believing that waiting is safe. They think that by not acting, they're avoiding failure, but in reality, they're choosing failure in slow motion. Inaction doesn't protect you. It quietly robs you. While you wait, opportunities pass. Skills go undeveloped. Momentum stays frozen. The longer you delay, the more comfortable you become with the delay, and the harder it gets to move. But once you begin, even in the smallest way, you break that pattern. You reclaim your power. Action, even imperfect action, gives you control over your life. The most powerful thing you can do is to stop living in the idea of who you want to be and start behaving like that person now. If you want to be disciplined, act with discipline today. If you want to be successful, work like a successful person today. If you want confidence, do the things that build it today. Don't wait to become the version of yourself that takes action. Take action and you will become that version of yourself. The transformation doesn't come before the action. The action creates the transformation. You don't have to change everything in one day. That's not the goal. The goal is to start. Start with what you have. Start with where you are. Start even if it's messy. The first step is always the hardest because it requires breaking through the inertia of comfort and hesitation. But that first step changes everything. It gives you momentum. It teaches you that you can move forward even when things aren't perfect. When you build your day around meaningful action, you build a life that reflects your values. Every task you complete, every commitment you honor, every distraction you overcome adds up. And over time, those small wins become habits. Habits become identity. Identity drives long-term results. The life you want isn't somewhere in the distance. It's hidden inside your daily actions. You don't need to predict the future to change your life. You just need to take control of what you do with today. So stop waiting. Don't look for motivation or guarantees. Just decide. Decide to act now. Even if you're tired, even if you're unsure, even if you don't feel like it, because the future belongs to those who build it in the present, the only way to reach the destination is to start walking. And every step you take today becomes the foundation of the life you'll live tomorrow.